little baby, dance, little baby. I'm drinking agua de coco at the bar, sunset on my horizon. Give her respects like the Maya. Sway to the musica, I see a beautiful avatar. I was saying in my thoughts. A perfect time, I feel it. I reach for your head, go with me, my lady. Let loose, get to the rhythm and shake it, baby. You look amazing and wonderful life, baby. Yeah. Feel the groove, let loose and feel the tools. Feel the groove, let loose and feel the tools. Dance with me, baby. I wanna see you move tonight. Take this chase, baby, and rest the moment in the light. Let that spirit move, the music through you. Let go of any worries that might be stressing you. Whatever you're going through, it's nothing that you can't handle. Just channel and feel the vibrations in the tunes. Move your body, absolutely. Dance the night away. I'm dancing the night away for some reason. I shout it, they feel the beat like a tidal wave. I don't care what you people think. I'm having fun with this good. Guess you can call it a day. Two souls frolicking place. Yeah, one of the best nights of my life. I dance in the Caribbean. I might just find my wife supply with the good vibes. I'm sure with the low tides. It's paradise, kid, the night just makes you miss all night.
Hey, good evening all. It's Fabian, the upgrade man. We've actually got a pioneer in the health movement, allegedly Dave Murphy, somebody that I have actually gained a lot of wealth of knowledge, in actual fact, from this man over many, many years now. And I'm actually delighted to be able to sit with him and be able to sort of dig into Dave's fantastic brain in terms of health.
You're not going to find much in there.
Yeah, we'll find enough. And obviously get the benefit out to everybody that's listening, because we're moving into a time now where health is becoming rapidly important. So hopefully we're going to be able to drop a few truth gems, so to speak, and really benefit some people out there. So welcome, Dave.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Gladly. Yeah, so where is your journey taking you, sir, at this precise moment in time?
Where is it taking me now?
Yeah, where are you at the moment?
Oh, right, okay. I'm right now I'm sort of looking at basically human history in the Bible, particularly the history of the Israelites. You know, because they're the main focus of the Bible, yeah. And also looking at languages. But I've been a bit busy, so I've not really been able to focus much on these projects.
Yeah,
I've got loads of things going on.
Yeah, so it's funny you touch on that straight away, because I wanted to ask you. There's obviously a time period, isn't there, where the Hebrew Israelites, they're sort of, you know, the time that they've been sort of enslaved, so to speak, if you want to put it that way. That sort of time's coming to an end now, isn't it?
Yes. In Genesis, the first book, it actually talks about how Abraham's children, Abraham's seed, will be sort of put into slavery and affliction for 400 years. I mean, it's the big event of the Book of Remembrance, the Old Testament. It's a big event. It's a major thing. You know, how terrible would it be to have your people go into slavery, and, you know, not just slavery, but hard bondage for 400 years, and then to be redeemed afterwards. So when you look at say Deuteronomy 28, it tells you in no uncertain terms what that hard bondage is going to look like, and that matches exactly what happened to, you know, the slaves in the south of in America, the slaves that went to West Indies, the West Africans who stayed behind but suffered under colonialism. It was a worldwide event, a really big event, and that's what the Bible recorded. So it's 400 years, and that 400 years started in 1619. It's now the recognized beginning of the transatlantic slave trade and all the other mass movements of Israelites. So 1619, 400 years on from then, is next year. And I've kind of narrowed it down to August 21st, 2019. Because there have been a couple of, let's say, big signs in the sky.
Yeah.
That and events, sort of major events that have been very significant, that tell me it was August 21st. Last year there was a huge sign in the sky. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the one that happened in America, wasn't it?
The eclipse.
The eclipse, yeah.
Yeah, the Great American Eclipse.
Yeah.
It was an eclipse that only America saw. Okay, it went through 7 places basically called Jerusalem or Salem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Salem.
And it's split America, north to south. And it happened on August 21st, 2017. Exactly 398 years to the day when the first slave touched down in America.
Yeah.
Now this year, August 21st, there was another event which, the mainstream media didn't really cover, but it happened on August 21st. And what it was the biggest slave revolt in history. Now, there are people in America who are legally slaves.
Yeah.
So it was the was it 13th, 14th Amendment? I can't remember. 13th Amendment that supposedly freed the slaves, but it had a clause in it that allowed legal slavery if somebody was convicted of a crime. So right now there are more young or working age black people in prison than there ever was in chattel slavery, and they're legally slaves. And on August 21st was the biggest slave revolt, where 2.3 million prisoners across America refused to work. So I call that pretty significant, really. Yeah. I forgot to mention also, there was another eclipse back in 1619.
That's interesting.
Yeah, my son basically pointed me to it. And in 1619, I think it was April 11th. I might got that wrong. April 11th, 1619, there was an eclipse in West Africa. It was like, watch out, guys, something's coming, And then straight after that, the first slaves were taken from that country or that continent.
Yeah.
So it's like in the Old Testament, it says that the sun, moon, and stars were given for signs and seasons, weeks and years. So the signs, a bloody big eclipse is a big sign. Yeah.
It's a massive sign.
Yes, and there's another eclipse scheduled for 7 years on from the one last year. So 7, according to the Old Testament, is a number of completion. Yeah,
it's a very important number. Yeah.
Yeah. So 7 years on from that first eclipse in 2017 is another eclipse that crosses the first one over the New Madrid fault line. Okay. Now the New Madrid fault line is the most active, earthquake zone in the States, and it's linked to the Yellowstone super volcano.
Okay.
Now the Old Testament tells that America, or the daughter of Babylon, is going to be destroyed such that nobody can live there anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I started looking at reports of what's going on in Yellowstone at the moment, and Yellowstone woke up, this year, and it's starting to become very active. The latest report is that the ground there is moving up and down 6 feet at a time. It's like it's breathing. Yeah. So it's preparing, and when it goes, everyone agrees that if this volcano kind of erupts, it will wipe out 2/3 of America, immediately.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm seeing biblical prophecy, left, right, and center. Actually, not just that. The plagues, are hitting. They're hitting all over the world at the moment. And when you look at a different translation of Genesis, I think you look at the Targums. There's a set of books called the Targums. It actually gives you a little bit more information, and it says that there will be 250 plagues, not the 10 plagues in Egypt.
Amazing.
So we're seeing plague after plague after plague. I think there's like 41 volcanoes erupting simultaneously around the world. Yeah, so I mean that doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Plus you've got in America, and not so much. I don't know if it's happening now, but at one point half the country was burning, the other half was drowning.
Yeah.
So yes, we're seeing judgment being played out right now, and I think after the first eclipse, I put a kind of tongue-in-cheek post on Facebook to Mr. Trump. I said, "Right, Mr. Trump, you've got your sign in the sky. Time to let my people go."
Pharaoh. Yeah.
But unfortunately, that was Egypt. This time, there's no choice. There's no choice in the matter. In Egypt, the Pharaoh had a choice. Do you want to let them go or don't you? Well, I don't think there's a choice in this instance.
Yeah. There is no choices though. You can see how it's, like you say, it's unpanning that way, and the Most High's the one that's directing it all.
Yeah, and it's going exactly according to prophecy.
Yeah. I find it quite interesting, actually, that on the grapevine at the moment, there are quite a few African Americans that say that they are native to that land as well.
Yes, in fact, they, some of them are. We were there, or before the Pilgrims got there.
Yeah.
There were the copper-colored people. Okay, and that's us, copper-colored. Yeah. The people that are called Native Americans were actually a Mongol tribe that went across from Asia, across the Bering Strait, and settled in the northwest of America. And it was those people who got the reservations and mixed with the white people. So and the people who look like us just got reclassified as Negroes or blacks or coloreds or whatever.
Yeah.
So yes, there are some original people or original Americans there that just got reclassified as us. In fact, it wasn't just West Africans that went to America. It was the original Irish who were black people.
Who were black people as well, yeah.
And the Scottish and the Welsh, who were all black people. And there were some Britons who were black, and they got transported to the Americas and the West Indies.
Yeah.
So
was it Scotland? Just to cut before I cut in, wasn't Scotland named after is it a queen up to Scotia in it by the name of?
Yeah, that's an Egyptian. Well, again, when you look at history, they like to change the names of people, and so you get thrown off. But they called her an Egyptian princess, but she was probably a Hebrew princess.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, And there was also, I was looking at some information to do with Queen Charlotte as well, I
Hmm.
believe.
Well, yes, that was a bit of damage control by the system, because people were starting to realize that King James was a black man, and there are you go back in the past of British history, and you'll find that some of the really old kings and queens were also black people. There's a statue of Queen Edith, and I can't remember how long ago that was, but a Queen Edith, and she looks like my niece. Yeah, look, I had to send it to her because I said, "Look, you're a statue." So there's a kind of an awakening to this idea that this was a black country originally.
Yeah.
And so they've had to be putting out a bit of information, a bit of confirmation, but limited, so that you think it's just isolated people. So Queen Charlotte, that came out, and they said, "Well, is this the first black queen?" Well, okay. People were sort of looking at this kind of mulatto or half caste looking queen.
Yeah.
And if they weren't very interested, they would stop there. So yeah, they've been putting out every now and again. You'll see a find of a black person, and they'll say, "Oh, this was a Roman slave," or this was an isolated person from Carthage or whatever. And it's kind of culminated in the Cheddar Man. I don't know if you came across that one.
Yeah, I've actually just got that written down here. That was one of my next points. So, fantastic.
Yeah, the Cheddar Man. Yeah, that came just pretty much after a lot of people started looking at King James and started to dig in and find more black people in British history. So they came up with this Cheddar Man, the first Briton. But they gave him straight hair and blue eyes. I mean,
It couldn't help it.
no, it was like a last little attempt to pull it back. Yeah, no, he wasn't blue-eyed, and he didn't have straight hair. He was a brother.
That's just the way it is. So, and then if you go back even further to that, so probably a few people who aren't fully familiar with this area of knowledge, they're probably thinking, well, why is it like that? And then obviously, if you go further back, obviously there's a scenario with the fallen angels, isn't there, etc. Which is
yes, yeah, that's going right back. In Genesis 6:4, it tells of fallen angels coming down and having sex with women and begetting giants.
Yeah.
Now, if you look in the book of Enoch, because the theologians will very sort of quickly say that no, it wasn't angels, it was the sons of Cain and the wicked sons of Cain and the daughters of Seth.
Yeah.
But if you look in the book of Enoch, which was taken out of the Bible, it gives you lots and lots more detail of that event. And right down to how many angels came down to Mount Hermon. It's about 200 of them. Gives you their names, or the names of the captains of tens or 50s or something. I can't remember, but gives you their names and told you exactly what they did. They had sex with women, and they brought forth offspring. And it wasn't just giants. Giants were just one type of Nephilim. So that bloodline from the fallen angels is still around today. And one of the sources of that bloodline is the royal family, because there is only one royal family across Europe. Because they only marry within their own bloodline, and they do that because they want to preserve that bloodline. Because they believe they derive their right to rule because they have the blood of the gods, with an S, small g and an S. And that's the fallen angels.
That's it.
And what we're seeing in the world today is the battle between the 13 bloodlines of of, you know, the enemy of the Israelites, and the Israelites themselves are 12 or 13, depending on how you want to count it, the 13 tribes of Israel.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So that go with that, then there was one part where they had lighter skin initially, so that they would be noticed amongst everybody around at that particular time.
Well, yeah, this is where it gets a bit contentious for certain people.
I know.
Well, in the Old Testament, the standard punishment for wickedness, you know, the immediate punishment for wickedness was your skin turning white. Yes, it's called leprosy.
Yeah.
You know, they've changed the definition of leprosy to some, you know, body wasting disease. No, it was skin turning white.
Yeah.
In fact, the word black actually means white. You know, the word black comes from the Anglo-Saxon BLAC or BLAEC, and it means pale, shining, bright, leprous. You know, and it's the kind of root word of bleach, and, you know, blanche, blank, you know, and the word in French for white is blanc or blanc, and, you know, blanco in Spanish, and yeah, so it literally means white, and all the negative connotations that went with leprosy, yeah, the sort of nasty connotations that go with leprosy, well, they were attached to that word as well, and it was basically attached to us. You know, the word for black in you know, Anglo-Saxon is swart, which is, you know, where's the root of swarthy and Stuart, which just means black, and Schwarzenegger, which I believe Schwartz, yeah, Schwartz in German, black, yeah. So yes, yes, it was the standard punishment for wickedness was skin turning white.
Yeah.
The fallen angels, or the offspring of the fallen angels, were identified as being white-skinned, because you can look in the book of Enoch. When Noah was born, Noah was an albino, and when he was born, his father was scared and went to ask of Enoch, you know, what to do about this strange son. And he says in the book of Enoch, I've begotten a strange son. He looks like the offspring of the fallen angels. So yeah, and Noah was described as being white skinned and yellow hair and blue eyes. So yes, it tells you that the Nephilim were lighter skinned. And yeah, it's a long story, because you know, the Nephilim DNA was kind of almost wiped out because of the flood, where everyone was corrupted before the flood. But in, I think it's the book of Jasher, it tells you that a week before the flood, Noah had to find wives for his 3 sons. And all the people, it says, all the people were corrupted. So the wives had corrupted seed, you know, not seed, but, you know, they were corrupted. And yeah, that's how the Nephilim seed survived the flood, you know, through the offspring of you know, Noah's sons, who were pure, and women. So yes, it's a long story, but you can actually follow it once you've got certain keys to the Old Testament, right? The story is very, very clear. You know, it's a very, very clever book. It's amazing, really. You know, it was designed for us in this day to actually you know, discover it and remember. That's why it's called the Book of Remembrance. Yeah. So this book is the only book that's been with humanity for the whole of human history. Yeah, the Old Testament been there all along. Yeah, but it's been sealed. You know, you can't read it without knowing who the Israelites are today. Yeah. you can't read it with an idol in your heart. If you know, this is where it pisses off a few people. If you're a Jesus worshipper, you cannot read the Old Testament and make sense of it.
Nope.
You can't. So it's very clever, because the book was written for, you know, back in those days, for now, so that we look at it and remember. Yeah, and the Book of Enoch actually says that. You know, it says in the first lines of the book that this book isn't for this generation. It's for those in the latter days. And then all of a sudden, the Book of Enoch disappears and reappears in 1947.
That's another thing I was going to say to you, that it wasn't included, was it? The Book of Enoch, deliberately, obviously. No,
deliberately. And this is another nail in the coffin for the idol worshippers. In Enoch, I think it's I would say section 14, chapters 82 to 86. I'm getting really good at this. It's there's a kind of parable. It's a dream that Enoch had, and essentially it summarizes the whole of the Old Testament from beginning to end. Beginning to the end days that haven't happened yet, right? And so Enoch describes the whole story in terms of animals. So you know, it talks about you know, the Israelites as 12 sheep, and flocks of sheep, and let's see who else. I mean, the Philistines are dogs, and the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, are wild asses. And so it talks, and so if you're reading along and you've read the Old Testament, you can identify the people that, you know, this story, which was written way before the Israelites and everything. You can identify all the people, you know, right down to David and Zerubbabel and you know, Saul and all the characters. You can sort of go through it and go, that's David, you know, and that's, you know, and that's Solomon, you know. But therein lies the problem, because, you know, there is no story of this Jesus character. It doesn't appear anywhere in this summary, of the whole of human history from, you know, from the beginning to you know, after the end days. So Jesus doesn't appear there. You know, it should say something like, you know, a white bullock was born of a lone calf, and it had 12 sheep following it, and the flock gave the white bullock to the eagles, and the eagles killed him, but the white bullock came back to life and told the 12 sheep that you know, he's coming back in 2,000 years in the spaceship and to take everyone to the happy place. It doesn't say that, you know. It doesn't say it. So and I think the people who are in the camps and the messianic Israelites, you know, they're starting to see the prophecies coming true right before our eyes, and they're struggling to shoehorn this Jesus character into the story, you know, because it doesn't, you know, those people have to go into the Old Testament to explain the prophecies, but they're stubbornly trying to stick in a couple of New Testament things and try and fit Jesus into it, and it doesn't fit. So you know, after the people get gathered back into the land, well, they're not going to go, from what I gather anyway, we're not going to go directly back to the Israel area, the greater Israel area. I'm of the belief that we're going to go to Africa first. We're going to be gathered there, and while in Africa, there's going to be a purge. It says the Most High is going to purge the rebels, and you know, the majority of the children of Israel aren't going to make the purge. Will
you say what is the main reason for that?
Well, the reason why we were put into slavery in the first place was, you know, our disobedience of following the commandments.
That was the next thing I was going to say. Come on.
Yeah. So we entered into a blood covenant with the Most High.
Yeah.
We agreed with the Most High to be his people, and we would, be, we would follow his commandments, because we were meant to be the ambassadors for the Most High on this earth. Not rulers as such, but almost the Most High's priesthood.
Yeah.
Okay. So we disobeyed, and we kept disobeying. Yeah. And so we went into slavery, 7 times altogether. And this time was as I said, the big event, and the most vicious and the longest period of slavery, to teach us the final lesson, basically. So there are still people, again, this is my opinion, there are still people breaking the commandments.
Yes.
By breaking the first and most important commandment, which is, thou shalt not have any gods before me.
Yeah.
If you're, I think it's in John. I can't remember the verses and all that, because I don't read that book anymore. But it says, basically paraphrasing, the only way to the Father is through me. Through the Son.
Yeah.
So if the only way to get to the Father is through the Son, well, where is the Son? Where is this Jesus? He is before the Most High.
Yeah.
So he's exactly where the Most High told you not to put him.
Yeah.
Or put anybody. Yeah. So literally, as far as I can tell, when we go back into Africa, that's when the purge will be, and the rebels will not make it. And if there's something like 2.2 billion Jesus worshippers in the world,
Yeah.
and only the remnant is going to make it, well, it doesn't seem to make sense that the majority is the Jesus worshippers are going to be, well, they're not going to be a remnant, are they? They're going to be the majority.
That's how it's set, isn't it?
So yeah, I don't understand. I mean, I can see this really clearly. I don't understand why so many of our people are still clinging on to this Jesus character.
Yeah.
When you look into history, there are quite a few books that escaped the book burnings. There's a reason why they were burning these books, and they were telling of the Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition was about us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moors as well.
They were trying to convert. Well, it was not really the Moors, but it was. We equate them to those imposters in Israel right now.
Right.
But it's talking about us.
Mm.
Okay, it was an attempt to convert, the children of Israel, who were stubbornly clinging on to their law, the 10 Commandments and that, and convert them to Christianity. And that's why they had all these, what they call auto da fes, which were the burnings, the torture and the burnings and all that in the Spanish Inquisition. So, our people would rather be tortured to death, and tortured within an inch of their life, and then burned. And they didn't just burn them. I think the first thing they did was they tied them to these stakes, sort of kind of leaning forward. So the first thing they could do was burn their beards. Yeah. So our people went through torture and horrible death to avoid being a Christian. Yeah. And I think there was actually an event where they wanted to burn a whole family. Yeah. But they took the daughter, a little girl, and they kept her back, and they horribly tortured the mother and father, and then burned them to death, just to try and convert this little girl, and say, look what happened to your parents. Yeah, you can avoid it if you just convert to Christianity.
Yeah.
And the little girl apparently, looked like she was listening, and taking note of it. And then all of a sudden she broke away and ran into the fire, and she did not want to be converted.
Imagine that.
So and that event was so moving that they stopped these auto da fés for 12 years because of that one event.
Yeah.
Even the spectators, because people, there's loads of people spectating these horrible murders. They were moved to ban these for 12 years. So because it didn't work, the next thing they did was they took all the Israelite children between the ages of 3 and 14. They literally took them from their parents and transported them to St. Thomas, an island off the coast of Africa, and brought them up as Christians. But the parents, finding out what they were going to do, they would rather tear their children from limb than let them become Christians. Yeah, our ancestors will be turning in their graves, at the thought of these, their descendants clinging on to this religion, even if they don't think they're part of this religion. There's a lot of people who are worshipping this Yeshua or Yahweh or some other Hebrew-sounding name. It's the same guy. They just changed the name, And so if you're still clinging on to Christ, then you are a Christian.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think you are, you are.
You are.
So, our ancestors would rather have died horribly than to be, one of these 2.2 billion people who are embracing this thing. Yeah. I really don't understand why more of our people aren't seeing this.
It's unbelievable. But I think it goes back to what you were saying about breaking the first commandment, doesn't it?
Mm.
It's there deliberately as a stopgap to say, well, you've broken the commandments. If you go back to the fallen, that by doing that, it appears that it's just by default that you're breaking the commandments collectively because of it or something.
Well, this is the clever part of this, because the enemy had access to our book as well. So they realized that when the Most High was with us, we're unbeatable. You just have to look at the book of Maccabees. That's an amazing book. First Maccabees. It's in the Apocrypha, one of the 14 books that were left out of the Old Testament. But if you read the first Maccabees, it's like a Lord of the Rings story. Yeah. Judas Maccabeus, was one of the heroes, and basically the Most High was with them, and they were fighting the Greeks. And I think there was one story where 10,000 Greeks came over the hill, and Judas was with 300 or 400 of his men, and he said, "Come on, lads, let's get them." His men said, "Look, there's only a few hundred of us. There's 10,000 of them." And he turned and said, "The Most High is with us. Let's go." And they, these few hundred Israelites basically turned, these 10,000 Greeks, made them run away, basically.
Unbelievable. It reminds me of David and Goliath, that scenario.
Yes, exactly. The point is, when the Most High is with us, then we're unbeatable. Yeah. When the Most High turns his back on us, then we become vulnerable and prey. Yeah. And so it was, I think the plan was, well, we'll create this New Testament, add it to the Book of Remembrance and rename the Book of Remembrance to the Old Testament. So it seems like it's, old fashioned and not in any use anymore.
Yeah. And
they introduced a new God, with a little g. And so, and basically told you that, well, you have to worship this God to get to the Father. So, it's just word magic. So you think you're worshipping the Father through the this Son, but what you're actually doing is worshipping the Son.
Yeah.
in both ways, actually, because it's Son, S-U-N, and S-O-N, same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah. So yes, that's the clever trick, so that you end up worshipping, you know, worshipping, this false god unawares, thinking
Yeah,
that you're being righteous, but
yeah,
you're not. You're breaking commandments.
yeah,
Very clever.
which is right. Very clever. Yeah, and then I suppose
Yeah.
following that, many people end up just discarding the whole thing totally, and then we end up in the mess that we're in, I suppose.
Well, that's partly what society and the other religions of, science, just a religion, and New Age and all these other religions. They're there to capture everybody. Yeah. If you don't like New Age stuff, maybe Buddhism is more your cup of tea, or Hinduism, or whatever. Scientology, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You're gonna fall into one of those, or atheism. Atheism is just another religion.
It's a massive one, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, and I was one of them. I was one of the adherents to that. But yeah, I've been on this path, and I really feel that this path I've been on for the last 15 years has been the path to find the Most High.
Yeah.
Because it basically this path has led me to destroy, all the different parts of this construct, this false artificial construct that we live in.
Yeah.
And we all think is real.
Yeah.
This journey is basically, torn down all the pillars of this construct.
Yeah.
And what was left was the Most High.
Unbelievable. And that's what happens, isn't it? With any type of this deluge scenario, it just gets wiped out, and then it starts again, doesn't it? Unbelievable.
Yeah. So yeah, we're right in the middle, right at the end of this. Well, I guess it's like an experiment. No, actually, no. There's another book in the Apocrypha called Second Esdras, and one of my Sabbath studies, I was listening to a YouTube video of somebody reading out from Second Esdras, and I was reading along with my King James.
Yeah.
So I got to a bit in this Second Esdras where what the person was saying on the YouTube video didn't match up with what I was reading. What I was reading was gibberish, didn't make any sense whatsoever. And then my copy of Second Esdras stopped, and the guy reading carried on. So there are more verses that have been taken out of my book. So I went hunting for the 70 missing verses, and amazingly, these verses tell you what the whole point of this game is, and what happens after you die, which is like stunning news.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it there must be something to it, because not only did they take the book out of the Bible, but even that book, once it's been taken out, they took out 70 verses, the key 70 verses, so you wouldn't know. So basically what Second Esdras is telling us, and it matches up with what I've always believed about this world, this reality. It says it's a contest, and I call it a game, but Second Esdras calls it a contest. And the best way I can describe it is, imagine you were in a room with 100 people, and 20 of those people were psychopaths, and your job is to find out who are the psychopaths and who aren't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't look at them and find out, and know which is who the psychopaths. So you might want to write a questionnaire. Yeah. But the first questions can't be, are you a psychopath? Or, do you like hurting small animals?
Yeah.
Because it's like, psychopaths are just going to go, no, no.
Just disguise themselves really well like that.
Yeah. So what you're going to do is ask questions whether there isn't a right answer or a wrong answer.
Right. Yeah? Open question.
So that the people have to be honest, because they can't tell which is the right answer and which is the wrong answer. Yeah.
Good.
Right. So imagine the Most High with a whole bunch of wicked souls. Yeah. The rebellious ones and whatever. So how to figure out which is which? Well, imagine creating a realm you know, a physical 3D space and time realm,
Yeah, yeah.
and then incarnating these souls into physical bodies, wiping their memories, and then saying, off you go. What are you going to do? So you can approach this place, which I really believe this place, you can do anything you want to do, anything you want to have happen. You can have that experience.
You can.
Right. So you're in this magical realm that's where anything is possible, right? And you're left here with no memory of what or who you are.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, an open question. What are you going to do? Are you going to act wickedly, or are you going to act righteously?
Yeah.
And at the end of the game, you're going to be scored. And, woe betide you if you've got a low score.
You're coming back. Or even worse.
No. That's it. And it's not you're going to come back, because, you know, the Old Testament says you're only here once.
Yeah.
You only have one time around here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, you better get it right.
You better get it right, because you may
You'll be deleted. You know, like if you play these video games like Call of Duty, not Call of Duty, there's other ones like it, where the first thing you do is you create your character, you define how much skill,
your avatar.
Yeah, so you design that, okay, and then you play it, and sometimes that character doesn't play very well.
Yeah.
So you tend not to use it. It might be stored there, but you tend not to use it. And you use instead the ones that play really well, you know? And
keep using that.
Yeah, and eventually you'll run out of space. So the only thing you're going to do is delete the ones that don't play very well, aren't you?
Yeah, makes perfect sense, doesn't it? It
does. So I think that's what's coming. And it's I think it's amazing, actually. I think when I was reading it, I was like, wow. And it basically tells you that there is a judgment coming, you know, at the end of our lives, and essentially there are like seven woes and seven benefits that the good ones get, and 7 woes that the wicked ones get.
That's what I was going to say with the good ones. So what happens with the good ones? You know, we know the woes of the bad ones. What happens to the 7 good ones? They should ascend.
Well, no, it basically says, and I'm going to have to read it a few more times to get it into my head, but it basically says that the first thing that happens is you come face to face with the Most High, so that you know, wow, okay, he's real.
Yeah.
and essentially, you know that you've got the high score, you know. Yeah. So you're on the good side. And then you go to a place of profound rest, profound quiet, guarded by angels. Yeah. So essentially you sleep until judgment, the final judgment day.
Yeah.
But you get to see where you're going to go. You get to see where the wicked ones are going to go.
Yeah.
You get to see what's going to happen to the wicked ones while you're in your profound rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get to see what happens to you after judgment. What kind of life you're going to have after judgment. Yeah. So yeah, I can't remember all the 7 how it goes, but yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. So. Yeah. You're going to follow the commandment to behave yourself. That's it.
Well, this is the thing. We've all been imbued with the 10 commandments. Yeah, we've all got them written on our hearts. Even the psychopaths know what they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't care about them. They don't follow them or anything, but they know what they are. When they do something wrong, they know they're doing something wrong. Yeah, like just as we do. If you steal something, you've done something wrong. It's not right.
Conscience is there, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's your choice whether you you go through with it, or and you've also got the opportunity. If you're doing wicked things, out of ignorance, which is easy to do in this society because we're in a wicked society.
Yeah.
You know, you only have to put the television on for 10 minutes and you'll see all 10 commandments broken and
5
people
seconds.
getting away with it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, you know, it's easy to end up, you know, sinning left, right and center, right? Because that's what society says is okay. When you start to realize that these things, you know, that it's not right, you have the choice to either continue or repent. And repenting only means, you know, turn away from the evil and go back to the 10 commandments and the law. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all it is.
Yeah.
And I kind of liken it to a game that my son used to play. It's a Jedi game. Yeah, and it started off with this little kid with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know the game progresses, and throughout the game you get choices that you make, and if you make wicked choices, well, you end up as a Dark Lord. If you make good choices, you end up as a Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So that's where we are, and you can be on the path to being a Dark Lord, but at any time you can say, you know what, this is wrong.
Yeah,
And
redemption.
switch to the Jedi side, you know.
Redemption. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's you know, repenting. And as long as you don't, you know, you don't do any more wicked things, right? You stay on the Jedi path. You start doing the wicked things again, even after you've repented. Then you know what? You're back on the Dark Lord path, and you're stuck on it.
Yeah, and this is something that we can actually feel as well, isn't it? Like you said, our conscience, that's what it's there for, isn't it? So to guide us in following the commandments, really, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know what? And this is where the whole New Testament thing comes in, because what they've done, what this Jesus character has done, has redefined the laws, so that apparently it's impossible for you to keep them. So an example would be, you know, he's redefined the Most High's definition of adultery to, if you even look at somebody with lust in your heart, then you've committed adultery.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's impossible for a bloke, you know, look at a nice girl, oh, she's nice, and there you go, you've committed adultery.
Yeah. It's just too easy. It just don't make sense. I think I seen you post something about that recently, actually, and I thought it's just natural, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. So, you know, you're not acting on it. You know, you go, oh, she's nice. Wow. Yeah. You know, and end of story, you know.
Yeah.
If you act on it, then that's adultery.
That's a different thing, yeah.
Yeah, now they've redefined it so that you can't follow it, because, you know, a bloke's going to be a bloke. A bloke's going to look and go, oh, that's nice, you know, but, you know, you can't control your thoughts. You can control your actions. Yeah. You can't control your thoughts. Yeah. So they've redefined it so supposedly you can't follow the commandments, and so then you've got this idea that somebody is going to have to die for you, in exactly the way the Most High says that nobody can.
Yeah. Exactly.
Deuteronomy somewhere it says, you know, every man shall die for his own sins. So, you know, again, it's been redefined to, you know, the Nephilim. Because this Jesus character is a Nephilim. If you look in Luke, it says that the angel Gabriel did the deed. It says something like, yeah, the angel Gabriel came in unto Mary. Okay, the same phrase that was used when the fallen angels came in unto women, and begat giants.
Yeah, I did see something like that before, actually, previously, that they were with the women, and it was a terrible scenario because they were giants, and they would do these rituals with the women that actually impregnate the women deliberately, and the women would die over it and everything. So I did see something like that. Yeah,
the fallen angels, they must have kept the women around and alive, because they were teaching the women all sorts of you know, wicked things.
Yeah, the makeup and all the rest of it.
Makeup and all that stuff. Yeah. So, the giants didn't start off as giants. They grew to be giants.
Yeah.
So yeah. And they continued to mix with humanity. Mm. I have in one of my presentations, I have what I think is one of the types of Nephilim, and I believe that type looked like H.R. Geiger's Alien. you know, in the film Aliens.
Yeah.
With a long head.
Big head, long head. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you look in the fossil record, you'll find people with long heads.
It's one of the Rothschilds has got like a similar type of head, doesn't he?
Yes, that's the next slide on my presentation, showing that the Rothschilds and some of the elite have this slightly elongated head.
Yeah, like
that isn't human. Well, no, it goes backwards. The point goes back.
It's exactly like that, isn't it? Like he kind of yeah. I've seen it. Yeah, the alien.
It doesn't look like a normal human head.
Yeah.
So I'm, my sort of, I kind of postulate that these things that were very much like the alien, and we know that films, they like to tell us stuff in films.
Yeah,
they do. Right under our noses. I think that one of these Nephilim were just like those aliens, and that's why the Most High in the Old Testament said, "Kill them all."
Yeah,
kill every male, every female, every egg. Because when you do that, if you come across a whole village of those things,
you better just wipe everything out.
Wouldn't hesitate, would you?
Yeah, you can just get rid of them, get them gone.
Exactly, and that's why the Christians look at the Old Testament and go, well, no, it's a bloodthirsty, Most High, and he,
Most High,
says, kill them, kill that. No, it's not killing humans; it was killing these corrupt creatures.
Yeah. This is it. Amazing. Yeah. And we did speak quite a while back. I remember you were saying about the singing of a song, in actual fact, getting all the Hebrew Israelites to actually sing around the world at that precise moment in time, so that the Most High would maybe hear that call and step in. Yeah,
well, yes, that's a project I'm still working on.
I see. Good.
Yeah, it's called The Cry to the Most High.
That's it.
I think the website is crytothemosthigh.org. I'm still kind of working some stuff out, but the idea is, if you go onto the website now, you'll see a countdown, and it's a countdown to 12 noon, Virginia time, on August 21st, 2019. And hopefully by then we'll have a song, which is more like a hymn, a prayer to the Most High, basically, crying out to him, because that's what the Israelites used to do, cry out to the Most High.
Yeah.
So I believe that that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to all cry out to the Most High, and I think if it'd be more powerful if we got hundreds of thousands of Hebrew Israelites singing this hymn all at the same time, crying out to the Most High. I think that would be very powerful. The point is that it's going to happen anyway. The Most High's already decreed it. It's already been written. The Israelites will be saved from captivity and go into their own land. But who knows if it's this project or something like it, or just everyone doing it by themselves that's going to do it. So I just thought, hedge our bets and actually do something about it.
Yeah. Don't you think moving forward, like urine therapy, for example, the way that we have kind of remembered that, that seems to be something that we've remembered again as well.
Yes. In fact, I think that was the second thing, maybe the first thing that got me to actually look at the Bible, because somebody said, "Oh, urine therapy is in the Bible," and I was like, "Is it?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, Proverbs 5:15. Drink from your own cistern, flowing waters from your own well." Yeah. If you look at the word waters, it's mayim, which means bodily fluids, urine.
Cool.
And you just think about it. The water doesn't flow from a well. Water sits in a well.
Yeah, it does.
So how do you get flowing water from a well? No, you have a deep well of water inside you that flows. Yeah. So that's what got me into getting the Bible. The first time, look at the Bible the first time. The second time was what was it? Oh, the second time was somebody telling me that King James was black. I was like, was he? No. I said, yeah, 1611 Bible. If you, first of all, it tells you in the foreword that he's having this book translated because the Roman Catholic Church is trying to hide the word from our people. I was like, our people? Okay. And then I found engravings of him, and sure enough, he's a black guy, and he married a Danish woman, Anne of Denmark, and she's a black woman with an afro as well. Yeah, so yeah, that was the second thing that made me sort of look at the Bible.
Yeah.
And then the third thing was the flat Earth. You know, somebody said, "Oh, you know, the Bible's a flat Earth book, don't you?" And I was like, "Is it?" So I started looking at it, and you know, and that was the third time. So I thought, you know what, I better actually read this book. You know, because it's there seems to be so much in it. Let me let me actually read the book.
And look what it did. Amazing.
Yeah, it turned me from a 40-year atheist to somebody who knows that the Most High exists and is working in the world right now.
Yeah, fantastic. So then urine therapy itself, doing that, obviously that made some massive changes for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was nearly 20 stone. I was chronically asthmatic. I had back problems. I had shoulder problems. I had very, very high blood pressure into stroke territory. I had high cholesterol. I had nerve damage in the left side of my foot, and pain up the back of my leg from an Achilles tendon operation. I had a few other little minor things, but yeah, a year and 4 days into the fast, into urine therapy, I was healed of all of those things. In fact, it was 4 days into a urine fast. The story is I was taking a walk because I usually, because of my leg and the asthma, I couldn't really run very much. But on this day, I just got this urge to run. You know, it was this long straight road going down to this bridge. It's half a mile away. Got this urge to run, and I ran at full tilt. And I got to the end, and I was like, I can still breathe. What's going on? And then I found the nerve damage in my foot had gone, and there was no pain at the back of the leg. And I had those for 4 years, essentially. And it was all gone. I was like, wow. And then over the course of the 30-day fast that I was on, I lost nearly 100 pounds. Basically, I went down from nearly 20 stone to about 11 and a half in 30 days.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So it was an amazing thing. So that's what led me to actually research why the urine therapy was working and what the body was actually doing. And that's where my book came from, because I realized that the thing that you need to do when your body gets sick, gets ill in this world of all these fake diseases around, is basically leave your body alone. Let it do its job.
Get out of the way.
Yeah. And just kind of help it along to do what it's trying to do naturally.
Yeah. So did you notice that when you went on that fast, did you notice when you came off it, was that the changing of your diet, would you say, after that? Or
no, my diet actually was changed by the urine therapy.
Yeah.
As you start drinking it, what happens is if you eat something that your body doesn't like, right, you taste it in the urine. It's like, wow. And then, you taste it and you instantly know what it was. So, like, oh, I shouldn't have had that coffee or had that beer or whatever. So it kind of moves you away from the stuff that you don't like, your body doesn't like, towards the stuff that it does like. And then when you get sort of more in tune with your body, what you'll find is that, you'll eat something and immediately know what it's doing to your body. So when I used to have Cadbury's chocolate, I'd eat a square of Cadbury's chocolate, and then I'd notice that my stomach would start filling up with water, trying to flush that stuff out of me. you know. So yeah, I could feel what my body was doing. I could feel my heart, you know, go a little faster, and I start shaking slightly, and and my stomach would fill out of water. So it was, I could tell what was going on. So yes, this feedback loop of drinking the urine, you know, not only gives you indications, but it actually starts making you more in tune with your body.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose it works a bit in the same way as the commandments do with your conscience. It's like it's sort of telling you, look, this is not right to eat, because you're having a negative effect, a negative impact on your body as well, so that you just know what's what through drinking the urine. So it's from the Most High again, isn't it? It's
yeah, I mean, I didn't I didn't understand the whole you can't eat pig and you can't eat shrimp and all that stuff. Because I kind of like bacon sandwiches and things, but then, I found out about, our dietary laws, and I followed them. I thought, no, well, it says it, I'm going to follow them. And then as soon as I decided to follow them, that's when I found out that, oh yeah, pork is disgusting. Pork is totally unclean. We shouldn't be eating it. Same with shrimp. I used to love prawns.
Yeah.
Love them. I thought I was a shark in a previous life. I used to love. I'd have like big mountains of prawns, but as soon as I stopped eating them, I realised that they're the cockroaches of the sea. They're almost exactly like cockroaches. Literally, if you put a tail on a cockroach so it could flap and swim and all that, it's a prawn.
It's the same thing. Crazy.
It is, even down to the little legs, So yes, it's the cockroach of the sea, and it's on the sea bottom, clearing up all the shit, basically.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, we're not meant to be eating those things.
No.
There are things in this world that aren't meant for us to eat. And I believe that we're only really meant to be eating the fruit,
Same here. Yeah.
And the dietary laws came in because it was like, okay, you guys are going to be eating meat now. Okay, well, okay, this meat's good to eat, but this isn't. I personally think, because if you find out that like even plants have a kind of consciousness.
Yeah.
There was that guy who put a lie detector on a plant and realized the plant was actually responding to things.
It's conscious,
so if a plant is conscious, well, maybe we're not supposed to be eating the vegetables either. But fruit isn't actually, it's like, the like offshoots of the
plant. Yeah.
It's not, you're not eating the plant itself. It's something that's going to fall off eventually. It's not actually part of the plant as such. So yes, I think we're meant to be eating the fruit, if anything.
So does it also with the cooked foods as well, the leukocytosis, etc., from eating cooked foods? What are your sort of thoughts on all of that, on that area?
Right, well, I actually it's as soon as you eat cooked food, your body responds as if you've been poisoned. When you take a poison, your body starts creating white blood cells called leukocytes, something called leukocytosis, which is your body trying to overcome this poison. So it also happens if you eat cooked food, called digestive leukocytosis. And they say, oh, that's okay. It's digestive leukocytosis. Okay. It's not. It's your body responding as if you've been poisoned. So it doesn't happen when you eat raw food. So you think about it. What other animal cooks food? Burns their food before they eat it. It doesn't make any sense. We're doing things that simply don't make any sense, but we're just doing them because we're used to doing them.
And then there's the weight of the food as well, isn't there? And then also, with the eating, when you go for that raw diet, and then it's like a massive shock to your system, I suppose. That's when you notice the truth, I suppose, isn't it?
Yes. Well, the thing about diet, in my book, I break healing down into 4 parts. First part is to stop poisoning yourself, and that's basically where your diet comes in, because eating fruit is the least damaging of all the foods you can put in your mouth. Yeah. So, you know, if you're gonna eat, then the best thing you can do is eat the least damaging thing that you're gonna, yeah, which fruit is essentially water. It's mostly water, and the physical stuff is actually easy for the body to get rid of. Yeah. So yeah, that's number 1. Number 2 is get rid of the poison that's already in you, and that's with distilled water and urine therapy.
Yeah.
They're basically detoxing. The third thing is to give your body the energy it needs to do the job, and that's fasting. That's where fasting comes in, because every time you eat food, well, your body has to use something like 80% of the body's energy to get rid of that food, to so-called digest it. It's not digesting anything. It's literally just breaking it down so you can get rid of it. Yeah. And that uses a lot of your energy. Bursting with energy, you're like, oh, I can't move, you know, because now you're using 90% of your energy, and that's not enough for you to be running around and stuff.
Yeah.
So by fasting, you literally liberate that energy that would be used to digest food, and it can use the energy for repair work. And the final thing is to change the way you think, because all disease starts up here. And yeah, if you don't address the problem, you know, in your mind, then even if you heal the physical, you know, manifestations, then you're going to re-trigger it later on, because the mindset behind it is still there. So between those 4 things, you can literally heal yourself of anything.
Yeah. Didn't you, I think you said once when you, on a fast, that you had like a scenario where everything just came to you really quickly. It's like your mind became really rapid and advanced. I don't know if you want to touch on that. That'd be great.
Yeah, that was during my breatharian experiment. So the beginning of my experiment was I wasn't drinking for, but I spent an entire year preparing not to eat, but I forgot to prepare not to drink.
Yeah.
So yeah, 10 days into my breatharian experiment, I got severely dehydrated. But up until that point, I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and lying there in bed for about 4 hours with all these ideas coming to me. And I would ask a question in my mind and get it answered instantly. And then come to find out later, well, that's the right answer, you know. And I was making connections between things that I don't know where I was getting this information from.
Yeah.
And it all turned out to be true. In the end, I had to keep a notepad by my bed so that I could write some of this stuff down, because I had so much stuff coming to me. I was like forgetting it later, you know. And then as soon as I started drinking water again, that creative period, that 4-hour period, started to kind of wane.
Yeah.
And one of the things I actually asked myself, you know, was actually why is this? Where's all this information coming from? And the answer was that your gut has brain cells. Your gut thinks.
Yeah.
But it doesn't think in the same way as your mind does. It thinks in intuition. So what we call a gut feeling, gut instinct.
Yeah.
And when you're eating, well, your gut is now basically overworked trying to get rid of all this food, and it can't think. As soon as you stop eating and drinking, well, now your gut isn't doing all this work, and now it can think. And I think again, when you look in the Old Testament,
Yeah.
It will tell you when you pray, when you commune with the Most High, you fast and pray.
Yeah. Amazing. Because it lifts you up to that advanced state, like you're saying, that you've got this intuition coming from the gut, and that's where you need to be to deal with the Most High, don't you? You would need to be in an advanced state rather than this sort of animalistic, state where you're not following the commandments in any way, shape, or form. So that makes perfect sense, Dave. Perfect sense.
Yeah. So this has been an amazing journey, really has.
Yeah, fantastic. It's been a pleasure to have you on. It's been, amazing. The amount of information and knowledge that you've got has been just phenomenal over the years. So I'd like to thank you for that. I'd like to definitely have you back on so we can touch on the Paleo Hebrew side of things. What you're doing with that?
I wanted to talk a bit about that, but next time.
Yeah, fantastic. So, guys, it's been fantastic. We've had Dave on. He's spread and shared a wealth of knowledge, and obviously he's even spoke about the advancements that he's received through the fasting. So, fantastic. We'll have you on again soon, Dave.
Okay. Look forward to it.
Brilliant. Speak to you soon.
Okay. Take care.
See you in a bit. Hang on.